So variables are an efficient way for us to store a data value, a vector, list, dataset, or objects in R. So in addition, it allows us to reuse or reference the variable name, saving us a lot of time from rewriting the data object over and over again. Okay. So now let's set up a variable by looking at an example. Okay. So let's create a variable called X, right? And inside we can put a value 5. So how do we do this? So just go ahead and type in X, right? And then we've already looked at this. You can use Alt dash in Windows or Option on your keyboard, dash in Mac will automatically insert for you that symbol, right? Less than dash symbol. You can also use the equal sign, but this is more preferable. Okay, then we can assign 5. Okay, so how do we execute this? You can actually highlight this and click here, run. Okay, or you can click anywhere here along this line and hit on Command Enter on Mac or Control Enter on R. I mean in Windows. Okay. So notice what happens in the console window. Okay, this code doesn't execute. Okay, so we've already just created an object and given it a value 5. Okay, so this is just a bucket, right? But in order to see the contents of this, we need to call back X, right? So you can use the console there. We should be able to see the value, the contents of that variable. In other words, we can still do that in our script here. Click X there, and we'll be able to get the same value. Okay, so now let's extend this a little bit, and now let's create another variable called Y and give it some value 10. So go ahead and do Y option hyphen, sorry, option hyphen. Okay, then we give it some value. Okay, and we can run that. We can see in our console we already have that. Okay, now let's add capital X plus Y. All right, let's see what we get in the console. Capital X plus Y. Okay, so let's run that. So what we get at the console? Object X is not found. Okay, so why are we getting this error? So R actually here is case sensitive. So one thing you need to know is, remember, is that R is case sensitive. Okay, so here we created a variable X. It's not the same as capital X. So keep that in mind. So you can correct that and run that again. Okay, should be able to have that. All right. So the next assignment here, exercise, we can now store that all this into a new variable called number. So you could just go and type number, option hyphen, option, just a moment here. Okay, so option hyphen, and we can now store X plus Y. Okay, so X plus Y. Okay, we could run that, and then we can also type here number, right? Then we're able to get the same result. So you can see we created a variable X, a variable Y, we added them together, and we stored it into another variable called number. So you can see this is a very efficient way of storing the contents of values, which allows us to reference it multiple times. Okay, so in your exercise here, I would like you to do the following, right? Try to change the value of the variable X to 20. Okay, what happens to the number? Okay, then change the value of Y maybe to 30. Okay, and what happens? And then try to update this variable and put here in the console. Okay, essentially you should be able to have a total of 50. Okay, so there are some tips you need to know when creating a variable. You can create essentially any name for a variable, right? So for example, it could be X, could be current underscore temperature or employee underscore ID. However, there's some rules that you need to keep in mind. Make sure it's descriptive and not very too long. Avoid starting with a number, all right? So if I say 4x, right? 4x, and then I assign maybe 4x4, right? What happens, right? Error. You can never start with a number, all right? Again, the next thing, don't use reserved words or functions, right? So for more information about reserved words, we could use help, type there reserved. And when you hit enter, you will see we have like if, else, repeat, while, function, and so on and so forth. Okay, these are what we refer to as reserved words. We can use them. These are functions in R. Then here, use nouns for objects, name, and for functions, right? We have already looked at this. So first name here is not the same as capital first name. Okay. Another one here, for most part, most programmers use the camel case, meaning that you could say hello, then capital L RB, call that capital case. Okay. Then I could actually just assign a string and say, you know, my first. So this is my first code, right? Click enter, then I can actually call it back. All right. Now, see, so we get an error there because I have an extra word there. So do that. Hello world. Okay, so where did we go on here? So hello world. So again, these are some of the errors you're gonna encounter. This is a very good use case. So you can see we forgot L here. So we just go there and say, and by the way, you can actually use this up arrow on your keyboard or just reveal some of the last word to use. So if you do that, enter, we are able now to see the contents of our variable. Okay. In our next video, we're gonna look at how to use R as a calculator. Okay.